Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is George and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about Hunter x Hunter chapter 407. So, what do you think about this week's chapter? Honestly, I thought it was a pretty good chapter. I didn't think it was amazing or fantastic like some of the previous chapters involving the Phantom Troop and Hisoka, but I still did find it to be a pretty solid chapter that, it's more of a setup chapter because we see that this chapter really consisted about Morena, talking to one of Serenage's soldiers and trying to bring her into her group, And in the opposite flip side of that, we see that one of the soldiers is trying to, get some information on Morena for Serenage. So that's pretty much the whole conflict of the chapter, and we see that it's going to be resolved through a card game, surprisingly enough. Now, before I go any further with this week's chapter, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my Hunter x Hunter, as well as all my anime and manga content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's chapter. So this week's chapter starts off right where we left off, which was, the whole funeral thing with Hulkenberg and, his casket being carried away. And as all that is, happening, we cut to some fodder soldiers of Serenage. And funny enough, the second I saw them, I recognized them because if you guys were reading Hunter x Hunter before the break, like in chapter 390 something, there was a particular chapter where it consisted about a bunch of random soldiers just yapping the entire chapter, where it was just, everybody, I had some PTSD moments, man. I thought it was like, oh man, don't tell me Togashi's gonna give us another full of exposition chapter, please, I'm begging you. And, good enough that it didn't happen. It was, luckily it didn't happen. But man, I would be lying to you guys if when I saw their faces, I recognized them immediately. I was like, why is this familiar? And all the flashbacks of that chapter was like, oh my god, please tell me that we're not redoing this, Togashi, come on. But thankfully it's not. It's more that part of the chapter just consisted about them being worried about a friend of theirs that it's gone missing, and they're trying to figure out like, oh, was she killed, was she kidnapped, what's the motive? And one of them is like, maybe she was taken as a prisoner for to get Serenage to talk to one of the princesses or whatever. And obviously that's not the case. Like, Serenage doesn't care about these fodder people, right? And we see that the real reason she was gone missing is because actually it seems like she and Morena were taking, like, Morena brought her in, and now Morena's trying to like recruit her, because we see this like whole tension between these two. They're just like sitting down, and we see that they're like, hey man, you should like join me. Morena's just straight up like, let's like, you should join my crew, bro. Like, you're pretty good. I want to know all about you. And in the flip side of that, we see that the soldier, she's like, nah, I want to like get some information on Morena, because that could really help out Serenage in the succession war. And we see that she's like, okay, well, how are we gonna get this? Because obviously you can leave at any point. I'm not forcing you to join. However, if you could give me the honor of, could you play a card game with me before you leave? And then she pulls these cards, and I was like, oh, what the heck? And she calls it a negotiation game, and we see that they're pretty much laid on in the table, and then the rules get explained. And from my understanding, pretty much the rule set is one of them is the parent, one of them is the child. The parent starts with 7 cards, the child starts with 5 or 4 or something like that, and whoever only has the point of the game is you don't want to like use all your cards, because once you're down to your last card, that's when you lose. So you need to have at least 2 cards to win. That was my understanding, to simplify it for you guys. And we see that they're, she's like, okay, well, I don't want to play just yet. I want to know more of the rules. And we see that she starts explaining, Morena starts going more, into the rule set. And she's like, there's a yes card, there's a no card for you, there's a joker card, there's all these cards that the child gets. However, the parent, it also gets the yes or no cards, but there's also 2 additional cards, which is the objective card, which if you use this card, you get to Morena will be forcefully, she'll be forced to answer truthfully, like, what's her goal in the succession war. And that's another thing about this card game. This card game is supposed to be like a questionnaire. Like, you pretty much answer each other's questions truthfully and why not. And we see that that's one of the cards. That's why the yes or no cards are there, because they'll ask you a question and you say yes to the question or no to the question. You're using your cards. And there was also a card where pretty much it was the power card. And this card, apparently, she goes on record later in the chapter that this is a very important card that will pretty much give away her Nen ability. She'll explain it. And as this chapter continues, we see that this chick is like, oh, this in theory, this sounds like a fair game. I get less cards, she gets more. However, it doesn't matter because the parent is the one that controls the flow of the game. So she's the one that gets to pick and choose. So in reality, I could have 1,000 of the best hands ever, but it all comes down to her because she's the one that controls the flow of the game. And we see that she starts thinking about like, man, is this game like rigged? And she starts thinking like, maybe I shouldn't play this. And Morena's like, listen, I promise you, I'll play this game truthfully. I'm not gonna cheat. And they even go in this whole the banter about like, okay, what can you say as in your yes or no questions? Like, can you put yourself in the center of the question? What is the specifics on the question? Like, it was very, very thought out by Togashi. And that's the thing, like, if you ever seen Togashi, he's very meticulous when it comes to all this stuff. You know, he was always very to the point and very much, he likes to keep his power scaling great, and all these net abilities or card games that he sets up to be pretty engaging, and they're pretty this gave me a lot of vibes of Yu Yu Hakusho. If you guys ever seen that series, there's a moment where one of the characters named Kurama, we see that he plays a similar game like this, like it's like a contest, like a battle of wills, and I like this. It gave me a lot of those flashbacks from Yu Yu Hakusho. But continue with the chapter before I get sidetracked. We see that as this chick is talking to Morena, she starts sensing like this evil presence of Morena. She's like, why is this chick so angry? Like, because the whole thing of her, she's trying to find out what's her goal and what's her then ability, and you know, to give that information back to Serenage. And she also doesn't want to join Morena because apparently if you lose the game, you promise to only say yes or no to her, and you're 100% loyal to her or something like that. So it's a game where she doesn't have to play the game. Honestly, she doesn't. But if she doesn't play it, hypothetically, if she were to win, she could get all this information to give back to Serenage. So it's a very like high risk game. I mean, Morena's not like pointing her with a gun at the back of her head, being like, "Hey, play the game." She's telling her, "Hey, if you want to play it, go ahead. I'm gonna play truthfully, but it's up to you. The ball is in your court." And we see that she's like, you know, thinking about it, it's like, I need more information. And as Morena keeps explaining the game more and more to her, eventually she's like, okay, you did say that if I use the power, if you use your power card, I would have to, you'll explain your ability, your net ability truthfully 100%, no matter how, you know, convoluted and whatnot. You will thoroughly explain it to me so I know what it does. And she's like, yeah. And it's like, okay, I'm down to play this game with you. However, if we were to play, I want to be the one that selects the face down. I want to look at the face down child cards or whatever. And Morena's like, go ahead. I don't care. I've done this exact same rule set with someone else before you in the past, so I'm down for it. And that's pretty much how the chapter ends. So it ends in this note where, you know, we're about to see this game between these two, like a battle of wills, and I'm very curious to see how this plays out because, like I said, this was giving me a lot of Yu Yu Hakusho vibes with between Kurama and one of the characters in that show. And I'm always down for these like mental games where, like, you know, Togashi's thinking like 7 steps ahead in a 4D chess. Like, for example, one of my favorite sections of the Chimera Ant arc was, you know, Meruem fighting Komugi, you know, where he's trying to figure out how to defeat her. And I'm a big like sucker for chess. I love chess. My favorite anime of all time is Code Geass, and there's a lot of chess in there, a lot of like, you know, technical moves where like you pull back and whatnot. So I want to see what's Togashi's interpretation of like this mental banter between these two. How, you know, this cat and mouse game of, you know, I'm gonna break you, you're gonna break me. I want to see who loses. And if I had to put money on it, I think Morena is definitely gonna win. I mean, she's like, you know, one of the biggest threats in the Succession War arc. So I don't see this fodder, you know, just outsmarting Morena. I think it's just gonna be more of a showcase to this concept of the card game, to integrate it to the world, you know, the big world building of Hunter x Hunter, which I'm really all for. You know, I always love Togashi implementing new things to his story, and this is one that I'm very fascinated to see. Now, with all that being said, what did you guys think about this week's chapter? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys thought it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Hunter x Hunter, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.